Greetings once again, beautiful folks. Worldwide movement, peace, love, respect. King Sadiq. Uh, a difference you may notice in visibility. I'll start off saying I'm trying out something new. This is my first attempt at a nighttime recording, right? Looks a lot different, I know, right? So, rather difficult to see me. Yeah, a bit, but we're going to try and just get the information out there to you quickly. So, what I wanted to talk about with you is dimensional science, right? So, um, let's see if that might allow a little bit more light to my face. A little bit, right? Okay. You got a forehead there. a shiny King Sadiq forehead. Peace, love, respect. Uh, and yeah, folks, I think that's one of the hallmarks of having a rather high vibrational frequency resonance, right? Is that you can laugh at yourself. We take ourselves a bit too serious at times. Sometimes we take life a bit too serious, right? Um, what did the old wonderful group? I shouldn't say old; they're still doing their thing in some regard. Earth, Wind, and Fire. A lot of their songs they talked about never becoming old and always staying young at heart. Right? I think that's very important. So, okay, this video is about understanding dimensional science. Right? Okay, so what do you mean by that, King Sadiq? Uh, First of all, when I talk about dimensional science, I mean, how we refer to ourselves as living in the quote unquote third dimension, right? Um, we often think in architectural terms, for example, dimensions is like length, width, height, depth, right? Or geometric terms, probably be better to say. Uh, but let's broaden and expand that a little bit, right? We also talk about in our visual perception, um, 3D, right? I guess the one of the ways we used to often think about 3D when I was coming up was the 3D movies, right? We all used to love to run to the theater with the little glasses, right? And see the 3D movies with something coming out at you from the screen. Um, so yeah, that gives us some frame of reference or a starting point talking about dimensionality or dimensional science, right? So let's broaden and build on that and expand a little bit. I think a big key to understanding dimensional science is starting with understanding vibration, right? And vibration frequency. So when we say frequency, we are merely talking about um, intervals of vibration, right? How frequent does something vibrate in a given interval? Um, yeah, I guess that's a decent way of explaining that. Um, in scientific terms, vibration frequency is often measured in hertz or megahertz, right? Um, uh, but it is indeed something measurable, right? And something that we can wrap our heads around if we have an open mind and a willingness to grow and understand something that perhaps we hadn't previously given a lot of thought to, which is understandable. Like I said, folks, a lot of the things I talk about now and I'll be building on, you know, there's nothing special about me, I love to say, right? King Sadiq is just like the next person. I'm just blessed to be at a point in my life where I've gained a lot of clarity, and a lot of the things that I get to talk about now are things that I'm blessed to be at a point in life that I can take time to ponder on and to do research on and study and gain broader understanding. So, yeah, back to vibrational frequency is very important to understand. All things in existence has been, for those who love to be validated by mainstream science, right? Validational frequency is not something that is a stretch or something that's just, it's not fake science like fake news. I'm just laughing about that a little bit because there was a discussion I was listening to earlier. They talked about fake news, right? But anyway, uh, yeah. So mainstream science has talked about, the fact that nothing is completely at rest. All things are always moving, or rather vibrating, at some frequency, right? Um, at all times. Everything, anything that you can think about, right? Well, King Sadiq, a rock is just sitting there, or a building is just sitting there. Well, to our visual eye, to our naked eyes perception, there are a lot of things that appear to be completely at rest, but if we can look at things um, with our naked eyes down to a cellular or molecular or atomic or even subatomic level, we can see movement, right, at all times, vibration at all times. So that lays a little bit of a foundation to understand that no matter where you are, what you're talking about, also anywhere in the cosmos, just anywhere, period, you're experiencing um, your life, your existence within vibrational frequency. And human beings, I talked about on other videos, exist in a vibrational field, a frequency field that we emit ourselves, right? This is also something that's proven and is uh, controllable, right? Is um, manageable. I'm searching for a better term. Something that we can always make sure that we monitor and that we adjust accordingly to maintain a high vibrational frequency is our emotional state, because our emotional state for human beings is essentially what dictates our vibrational frequency, or at least it's become the most clear indicator of that so far. But I believe it also is a means for us to be able to control our vibrational frequency, right? When we're feeling a certain way, tells us about how we're or where we're vibrating at, what frequency we're vibrating at, and gives us an opportunity to adjust that mood, that feeling, and thus adjust our vibrational frequency. So, that talks a little bit about human beings. There's even charts, right, where scientists have charted um, what vibrational frequency a person is, or persons, when being observed, are at different emotional states, right? And they actually measure it in hertz or megahertz, right? They measure their vibrational frequency. So indeed, this is very, very relevant to us, right? So this is not something that's far off. This is also affected a great deal by energies that we take into ourselves. What were you talking about, King Sadiq? Okay, well, Our bodies, as is this planet, are constantly bombarded by energies, right? Cosmic energies, if you will. Um, some of which are sort of filtered, right? Filtered by the time they make their way through this atmosphere um, for us to be able to take in, and some not so much, right? One great example of that energy that's not filtered as much is the energy we receive directly from our star, which is our sun, right? Uh, so yes, your sun's energetic output has a great deal of impact upon us as energetic beings, inhabitants of this planet. This is true of all beings on this planet. You're affected heavily by the sun's energetic output. And um, what we can see happen on a daily basis, if we had the scientific equipment necessary to measure our our vibrational frequency in hertz, I would imagine is most preferable, hertz or megahertz. But yeah, if we could measure our vibrational frequency uh, during different stages of the day or of a day in which we receive different levels of energetic output from our sun, we would see varying changes in our vibrational frequency as well, right? Um, but that's not the only source of energy that we take in commonly. Another source of energy, if we stop and think about it, that we take in commonly is each other, right? I just got finished saying that we emit energetic, electromagnetic vibrational uh, frequency fields, right? Um, and so we're emitting that onto one another. So we affect one another a great deal. Um, the other inhabitants of this planet, the animals that we tend to think of in such as a second class manner, right? Which isn't really cool. I would say they're just as important inhabitants on this planet as we are, right? And should be respected as such. Um, but their vibrational frequency output affects us as we do affect them as well, right? Um, yeah. So external energies, um, your own emotional state, all these are things that impact your vibrational frequency as an energetic being. Your experiences, of course, will impact your emotional state. Your perception, of course, impacts your emotional state. Um, and we know that your perception is shaped by the information you take in, right? Um, now, that's another interesting thing. There are a lot of external influences in quote unquote today's society, right? Here in the United States and around the world that impact folks in a number of ways, many of which not positive at all, folks. I mean, one thing I want to do quickly is tell folks, hey, listen, I understand um, a lot of this can sound like technical jargon, right? And information that doesn't impact your daily life because most of us are so caught up in dealing with thinking about um, or being stuck in and totally distracted and preoccupied by the rat race or the chase for the dollar, right? We simply don't perceive much of anything else as all that important. Um, so I understand that, some of the things I may say, bring up, or speak as though they're commonplace may not necessarily be with everyone. All I can do is recommend that you do try and take some time when you can, and have a very open mind. This is a time to be taking advantage of the information age and learning, right? There's really no excuse whatsoever for anyone to not learn something just about every day, right? There's just too much information at our fingertips. If you're curious about something, uh, research it. We're on our phones all day long. Use them for something that could potentially better you, right? A little advice from King Sadiq. All right. But yeah, I say that to say, um, if anything I state in this video or other videos, it's something that you may have questions about. Some of the words I use or terms I refer to, um, that's to be expected, and that's fine. You know what I mean? Like I said, this is what I do now. This is my lifelong pursuit: worldwide movement, peace, love, respect. And anything I need to continue bringing information on important things to folks, and things to help expand all of our awareness or consciousness, right? Um, then that's what I'm here for, and that's what I allocate my time towards. Not everyone can do that, and I understand that. Just do what you can. Read when you can, study when you can, research when you can, do what you can, right? But yeah, I say that to say many people won't know about some of the stuff I'm talking about. Many people are like, well, the sun, what are you talking about? The sun's the same as it's been and always is, which, not everybody has been able to keep track of what modern science has been saying, or what anyone who's been observing has been saying or seeing and relaying about our sun. The solar activity in the past decade or so has been off the charts. I mean, and recently in the past couple of years or even months, it's really been off the charts. And we see how that impacts not only our vibrational frequency as beings, but like this planet has a vibrational frequency, right? It's measured in something referred to as the Schumann resonance, right? I always take my time of pronouncing that because there were times where folks thought I was saying resonance, like where you reside. No, I'm talking about the Earth's vibrational field of frequency, right? Um, is measured by those who observe, right? It can be measurable by anyone, um, right? So it's been very interesting to see the spikes, right? We're kind of using my hand here. If you look, it can be line charted, and you'll see spikes in the planet's vibrational frequency, and even new plateaus where it'll spike and just sort of resonate at a very high frequency for sometimes long periods of time or days even. But it's interesting. Um, you can see that profound impact on our planet by the energies it's receiving most prominently from our sun. So yeah, I go through that to explain in a little bit more detail how we are impacted by external energies or forces, right? So I mentioned our planet. Our planet, as I stated, has its own vibrational frequency and resonance, and that is a huge and very profound impact on our vibrational frequency and resonance as energetic beings, right? Um, Conversely, there are a little over 7 billion human beings. Um, I guess we're about at that right now, world population on this planet. And obviously, I don't work for the census, right? But statistically, I think it's right around 7 billion. Anyway, um, that's a lot of folks, right? And human beings have very, very, very powerful uh, energetic output as energetic beings. And so many of us, we very profoundly affect this planet's vibrational frequency as well. There's a sort of symbiotic um, relationship between us and this planet, as is all things, right? True indeed, we are one. What do you mean, King Sadiq? Anybody who knows that knows me, or has been checking on my videos should pick up and know that I certainly believe and know that all things emanate from one source of energy, right? Not being religious, um, but certainly being very spiritual. Um, I say all things emanate from the Creator. Period. It's not really a lot that I have to go into detail about that. If you choose to use a different word, term, or understanding, a lot of folks say source, right? I do myself at times. You'll see me saying source energy, but we all emanate from the same energy. We're all connected in some way energetically, so we are one. All right. So back to the fact that we do impact this planet and its vibrational frequency. Okay, so I've done a lot of talking about vibrational frequency, vibrational resonance, um, what things impact vibrational frequency here and on this planet and this planet's inhabitants in our galaxy, et cetera, right? Okay, why so much talk about frequency on a video dedicated to dimensional science and understanding dimensional science? Because what we are starting to understand, and you know, humans on this planet are essentially, in my estimation, still fledglings, all of us, me included, in really having a firm grasp on dimensional science, right? Now, there could have been, and likely, is a time on this planet when we had a much greater understanding, um, and that's supported in a number of ways, archaeologically. Anything that'll refer you back to some uh, early civilizations or societies that had higher learning, higher expressions of understanding our universe, our planet, etc. But yeah, we are fledglings in understanding dimensional science, but we are uncovering more and more at a very rapid pace, right? So one of the things that we're uncovering, have uncovered, and are learning is that dimensions are actually sort of separated, or dimensional states of existence or planes of reality, right? Um, or better understood, probably, rather than the term plane of reality, um, fields of vibrational resonance. Okay? Um, and we know and understand now that dimensional fields of vibrational frequency resonance are separated by vibrational frequency thresholds. Well, what do you mean by that, King Sadiq? I mean that, for example, third dimension to fourth dimension is a given vibrational frequency field that is delineated, so to speak, or partitioned, if that paints a little bit better picture, separated by thresholds, meaning from this vibrational frequency um, to this vibrational frequency, that whole range of frequency or vibrational frequency field of resonance um, would be, let's say, the third dimension. And then when you pass that threshold, right, of vibrational frequency, you move into a new field of vibrational frequency resonance. So let's just say, for example, we do it in thousands, 1,000 megahertz. So from 1,000 megahertz to 3,000 megahertz is one vibrational frequency field or dimension, right? Uh, we talk, let's say, from 3,000 to 5,000 or 3,000 to 4,000, we could say would be, for example, I'm simplifying this, folks. For example, would be the third dimension, right? Or third field of frequency, vibrational frequency resonance. But what is separating the two, and so on and so on, what's separating the two is that threshold, right? It's between this frequency and that frequency, that range of frequency. Maybe that's a better way of stating it. Range of frequency is what gives us different vibrational frequency fields of resonance or different dimensional states or planes of reality. So, in order to experience higher vibrational frequency fields or higher dimensions, right? You would need to be resonating in a vibrational frequency that matches that particular dimension. So, all right, let's rewind to sum this up a little bit. We did a lot of talking about all the different things that impact our vibrational frequency resonance as human beings or energetic beings, right? And we now understand that whatever frequency range we resonate in uh, is the dimensional plane of existence that we are experiencing, right? So, is it potentially something, or is it possible that something that a human being can experience as a higher dimension? Well, certainly. Um, you just need to be resonating in that particular range. Um, and thus, we have the little bit more popular concept of what a lot of folks are talking about, us living in the fifth dimension. Well, hopefully we can get to a point that we resonate, or that many of us resonate. Um, potentially all of us, this entire planet, uh, would be resonating at a high enough frequency range that we could experience uh, uh, fifth dimensional um, existence, right? Or plane of reality, or fifth dimensional vibrational frequency field of resonance or frequency range. Um, like I said, we talked a lot about the different things that impact our vibrational frequency resonance. And we talked most importantly, and this is where I'll get ready to leave this thing off. This has been a much longer video, but an important one. Um, this is where I'll leave this thing off. Um, Basically, we can control our vibrational frequency resonance. I talked about where we have opportunities to do that by controlling our emotional state. Is sort of our biggest finger on the control panel. Um, Certainly, the things that you put into your body, right, have a great deal to do with that, right? If you put something low vibrational into your body, that would aid your body or sort of direct your body into vibrating on a rather low vibrational frequency, right? You put, i.e., you put a lot of meats, right? Slain animals into your body. That's going to get you very physical, right? Meaty diet, very physical, where physicality is actually of a low vibrational frequency, lower vibrational frequency. So you're sort of vibrationally speaking, dragging yourself down a bit with a heavy meat diet. With a heavy plant-based diet, you're more so moving in the range of a higher vibrational frequency. But yeah, your diet is one thing that you can control to elevate um, your vibrational frequency. You definitely want to have a very healthy um, plant-based diet, and you want to really be sort of monitoring yourself, right? Not to where as though you can't just be natural and chill and relax, but every so often through the course of your day, how am I feeling, and why? Okay, because there's never, if we stop and think, pardon me, think about it, there's never really a reason, at least when you become a mature soul, right? There's never really a reason for you to be stuck in a very low vibrational frequency or emotional state. And I don't say that lightly. I don't say that uh, insensitively, right? I don't say that not being sensitive to folks who are out there suffering, experiencing a lot of pain. Believe it or not, King Sadiq has experienced his fair share of tragedy in my life. This is not a contest to say, hey, who suffered more and come out of it smelling like roses. You know, anybody suffering on this planet, I guarantee you, um, while your suffering has great merit in my heart, right, and certainly your Creator has uh, empathy for you, as all empathetic beings do. But know that as much as you are suffering, there is someone likely suffering more. So be empathetic for them and maybe look at your own situation in that light, right? To help you raise your emotional state. Um, yeah, so I understand it can be tough to be in a high vibrational frequency state. By the way, in those charts that I mentioned earlier, where they measure human beings' emotional vibrational, uh, the correlation between your emotional state and your vibrational frequency resonance. On those charts, they show feelings like love, um, compassion, empathy, reasoning, all as very high vibrational frequency states, where the other end of that pole, anger, guilt, shame, apathy, all very low vibrational frequency emotional states. So yeah, controlling our emotional states, controlling our diet, being very aware of the sorts of energy that we're allowing ourselves to be subject to. Get as much sunlight as possible, folks, is just something I recommend personally. I understand there are concerns with skin cancer and other, not everybody can just sit in the sun. And I understand that. Do what you need to, apply what you need to. Um, Although, if you're going to use some sort of a sunblock or something to protect your skin from from the rays of the sun possibly giving you skin cancer or something like that, try and be as holistic as possible with that. Going very holistic, period, in terms of treating yourself in a medicinal way, um, is a very high vibrational frequency way to go, right? And what I would recommend. Also, yeah, when I talk about exposing your what energies you expose yourself to, um, technology, woo, big one. We have got our phones, um, are like an extension of our arms these days, right? Constantly on them, either in our hands or up to our heads or to our face. We have got to understand that technology has a very profound effect on your vibrational frequency state because it's a source of very frequently, almost all the time, a low vibrational frequency output that you're exposing yourself to. And I have another video where I talk about 5G technology, and that's really getting into what the late and great Dr. Delbert Blair referred to as ELF waves, um, extra low frequency waves. So watch your exposure to what energies you're taking in, monitor your emotional state, have a very high vibrational frequency diet, and thus, in every way that you can, impact yourself positively. Make sure that you're around positive people as much as possible. Be positive yourself toward other people as much as possible. And those high vibrational um, outputs, right, will come back to you. That's one thing we gotta understand about the universe, folks. You might as well consider everything on a big boomerang. Whatever you put out there is coming back to you in one way, shape, or form or another eventually. Um, those who are not up on the Hermetic principles, I would also recommend studying that. Great tools for um, life in general, but certainly maintaining control of our vibrational frequency resonance. All right, folks. Well, I tried to touch on uh, everything I could think of on the subject. There may be a few things I can expound on, or I'll look back on and say, "Oh, well, wait a minute, you could have also put that in there," and then we'll just see a part two on this. But for now, thank you so much for checking out this nighttime version, right? King Sadiq getting out here in the night. Peace, love, respect.